Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today we're doing something a little bit different, so if you're not interested in this kind of format, that's perfectly fine, just scroll on by. But what we're actually going to do is a breakdown of the full cost of my GR Yaris over the 3 years that we've had it. So this is going to be interesting. I've broke down absolutely everything that I can, and if you're interested to see how much this thing has cost me, let's find out now. So I've broken down the cost into 4 main categories. So the first category is ownership, so the cost of actually purchasing and owning the car, things like finance and things like that. The second section we've done is the cost of maintenance, so that's things like MOTs, insurance, road tax, servicing, that kind of thing. Next up is a subjective one, so this doesn't always feature for everybody, but it's the cost of the modifications that we've done to the GR Yaris. So we've done quite a few modifications, and being totally transparent, some of them I didn't actually have to pay for, so I'm not including those costs in our total cost for this one. And the final one is fuel. So I'm the crazy type who I've actually kept every single fuel receipt from my car from the day I got it to today. So this is the folder that I've got so far after 3 years of ownership. I've got in here every single purchase, every single receipt from the car, totally. Sorry about the cat. So this here is a stack of every single receipt for every single fuel stop that I've ever put into the car. Now, I pretty much use the car exclusively on Shell V-Power, and I have signed up to their app, so we do get a little bit of a discount. So I haven't taken, I've taken what I paid really into account, but this is every single fuel receipt that's gone into the car. We've done 21,666 miles as of recording today, and we're gonna find out just how much all this costs. So if you're only interested in one section, there's a little timestamps at the bottom, so skip ahead. If not, sit back and let's see how much pain we're in for. So I did a similar thing with the Mitsubishi Evo 9 that we had before this, in the ownership time that I had that car. And if you want to see how that compares, there's a little pop-out banner and you can go and watch that video. But yeah, we're going to do the GR Yaris today and see just how much this thing has cost. So let's go to the first section, which is the cost of ownership. So I was lucky enough that I actually I purchased my car in May of 2021, but I actually ordered it in February 2020. So during that little bit of time that we was outside of lockdown, I actually put a deposit down. I went down to my dealership and managed to put a deposit down for £100 for a car that had just kind of been announced. There wasn't much details, couldn't test drive it, none of that. I just took a punt of it because I liked the look and the ethos of it. So that £100 deposit was then enlarged to a £400 deposit and £500 in total when I confirmed my order and my specification on my car, and that's the money that they took, and that came off the retail price of it. Next up, on the day we went to purchase the car, I had to put a deposit down. So I was lucky enough that on the GR Yaris, when I purchased it, it was 0% interest finance over 2 years. So I put down a fairly sizable deposit, which was the money that was left over from my Evo 9 when I sold it. So I put down £11,000 as a deposit. So in total, £11,500 of the total cost of the car was already paid off before going into the financing. One of the reasons why I did this was just to keep the monthly payments as low as possible. I thought if I kept the monthly payments as low as possible, it gave me a bit more free cash to do like look after kids, house and modifications and things like that. So in the end, my monthly payment was, let me just double check. So my monthly payment was £148.36, and that was for 24 months, so over the 2 years. So to me, that was pretty good, but it did mean I had a chunk of car left to pay after the 2 years, a balloon payment. And I had the choice of giving the car back or getting another one, but when I contacted Toyota, there wasn't another one available, and the finance agreements had changed, so it would have been even more expensive. So I decided to do a personal loan. So I got a loan from the bank to pay off the car, and then that loan I'm then paying off monthly. So far I paid 1 year of that month, and that is £256.65 per month, and we paid 12 of those so far. So in total, the cost of buying the car, how it sits right now. So buying the car right now, we're looking at £18,140 and a few pennies. So that isn't the car fully paid off. I still have about £9,000 or £10,000 to pay on the finance outstanding. So still got to pay a bit more, but that's spread out over the next few years. So we've paid for 3 years so far. So if you're wondering how I afford the car, that's kind of how I afford it. Working hard, playing hard, and trying to keep up with it. So next up, we're on to section 2 of this, which is the upkeep. So these are the payments that are coming out all the time, maybe monthly, yearly, and these are the kind of things that you need to pay to keep the upkeep of the car. So we're going to go through a few things in this section. So I'll put the laptop here just so I can see it a little bit easier. So first up, we have the first year of insurance. So when I purchased the car, I got insured on it. I am a mid-30s, late 30s. Lots changed over the 3 years. So I've got older. I've got good no claims bonus, but not the most amazing area by postcode for the insurance. But we still managed it. My first year insurance, if memory serves me correctly, was quote me happy, and they did allow us to do some modifications on the car, and that was looking at £603.48 for the year. So, ow, that stings. Because it was a new car, I also opted for gap insurance. So gap insurance is if the car costs this much and you write it off and it was only worth this much, but you still got this much to pay, they will fill in that gap. Now I got gap insurance only for the 2 years of the time that was under the finance, because I didn't know what I was going to do at the end of the 2 years, and I actually did that for a third party company. So outside of Toyota, they often offer you at the dealership, and it's really quite expensive. And me myself, I paid £99 for that. Then next up, I had my first 6 months safety check. Now I didn't really see the point in this one, but I didn't know at the time. These cars were pretty new, so after 6 months we took the car back to the dealership and they did a safety check, which to me just went round and made sure it was all okay and did the recall, but that cost me £50 for the privilege. And then following that, we had our first service. So it was £190. We did it through Toyota in Birmingham at the Fort. Great service. They were really great with the car. Can't fault them. But £190 is about where you expect to pay dealership prices, but it is a lot of money for what they actually do. Next up, when the car turned 1 year old, we had our first set of road tax we had to pay. So this car here, road tax, that sets us back £190 for a whole year. Personally, a little bit of a rant here. I think it's a bit harsh that road tax is more expensive if you spread it over the months. Generally people who maybe struggle finances can find it easier to spread cost, but they seem like they're penalised, which I think is unfair, but that's a rant for another day. And then along with road tax comes the next year in car insurance. So it went up a little bit in the second year. There was a couple more modifications, and we're looking at £635 in total. So not too bad, I have to say. Next up, I put in the upkeep section, because generally it's good to get an alignment every now and then, just to make sure the car is pulling true as things bed in. We did an alignment down at A-line. So they did a full alignment. They did also fits and cam bolts, so it was a little bit more expensive, but they did a specific geometry setup, all 4 wheels, corner weighted, and you're looking at £95 for that. Next up, second year service. Again, popped it back to Toyota, and that was another £190. Thank you and goodbye. Again, took it to the Fort Toyota Birmingham. They were great. The ECU is mapped on my car. I just let them know, and they were perfectly fine with that. No problems at all. And with this service also comes road tax. Again, third year was £190, but being the third year, we also had an MOT. So in the UK here, it may be different where you are. We have to do a yearly test to make sure the car is roadworthy. And we had an MOT, and that was £49. £49.50 actually. Sorry, forgot the 50p. Insurance for the third year. So insurance has been going up in the UK recently, and there has been some wild and crazy prices out there, and this year I definitely struggled, but it took me 2 days of time off work hunting around, and I managed to find it with Howdens. which used to be A plan, and they were £525. So that wasn't too bad. It was actually cheaper the first time in a while, which was nice to see. And the final bit of upkeep is something that you'll probably see in a video hopefully really soon. So this is probably a good time to hit the subscribe button. But we're actually going to do the servicing ourselves. Now we're actually going to service more than the engine. So we're going to do engine, gearbox, front and rear differentials. I think that should be about it. And for that, I had to buy all the oils. So all the oils for all those things, we'll go into it with the full video, was £112.80, so bargain. And then all the filters, gaskets on the sumps, crush washers and things like that came to another £26.22. So that was really good, and you'll see that in a video soon. So in total, for the 3 years that I've had this car, so in cost of upkeep, we're looking at £2,956. Basically cost us £3,000 to keep this car on the road for 3 years. So next up, section 3 is the modification section. So this is completely subjective. You don't need to do anything of what we've done here. This is just what I've chosen to do, and as I say, I'm trying to be nice and transparent with you and exactly what we've done and how we've gone about it. So the first mod that we did after getting the car was the Maxton rear spoiler cap. Now I ordered that before I even got the car, and I managed to find a discount code online, and I paid £111.80 for that. And that was our first mod. I think I had the car maybe 100 odd miles. Second mod that we did, again I managed to find a discount code, was the Automotive Passion reared arch guards, and that was just to protect the side of the car from debris, rocks, chips and things like that. Done a great job, and I managed to get those for £68.93. So bargain. Nice easy fix, and I think they look really sweet on the car. The third modification that we did to the car was the garage Whifbitz exhaust. So this was a GPF back system, and my car was a test system car. So we developed the system on my car. So yes, I did get it at a slightly cheaper price, and I believe it's for sale now. I don't even know. But I paid £420 for the system on the car. And I have to say, sounds amazing. Love the exhaust on this car. Next up, a nice little easy mod. We changed the rear number plate lights. So by default they're halogen bulbs, and it just makes the rear look not as modern as it should do, in my honest opinion. So we replaced those with LED bulbs, and they cost us £7.64p, and that was from eBay. So there is a link. Oh no, that was from Amazon, my bad. But yeah, that was a nice little mod there. Now for under the engine, we actually did our first modification with the engine. We did an ITG panel filter that I managed to get from the guys and girls over at Tegiwa, and that was, again, I managed to find a discount code, and we was looking at £47.09 for that panel filter. Nice, simple, easy install. To be honest, I didn't feel like it made too much of a difference. In the interest of transparency, you may know that we have the MST intake kit on there, and that was actually sent to me by MST free of charge, so that's why it's not on this list. Little side update modification that we did was the Tegiwa GoPro mount, which fits it into the passenger seat next to you, into the headrest. Nice little 3D printed bit, and that was £29.99. Again, there's another video on that on the channel somewhere. One thing that you won't see on the car anymore was the HT Auto front canards. Thought they looked really cool. Purchased them, fitted them. They were okay. They fitted okay. Wasn't thrilled with the quality of the product. They cost £59.99, and in the end they were taken off probably after about a week or two. Next up, a splash of colour. So we had the FogLightGuy's fog light covers. So they were £16.99, and while I went for a purple, there are many colours available, but it's just something a little bit different, which I enjoy. Now we get on to some of the bigger ticket items. So one of the first bigger mods that we started doing was the Automotive Passion carbon kit, basically. So first of all, we got the front splitter, and that was £649, and that fits onto the front. Absolutely fantastic. For me, it's great because it gives the impression of lowering the car without lowering the car. I live somewhere where there's a lot of speed bumps, and that can be a bit of an issue, so thank you for that. And then to go along with that, we had the side skirts, and you were looking at £675 for those. And then I fitted them myself. On the back, we also went with the Automotive Passion rear badges. So we've got the Yaris in gloss black and the GR4 in gloss black as well, and they were $44.95. We're not done with Automotive Passion yet. So after those bits came through, we also did the engine cover in carbon fibre with the red accents on the blades, and that one you were looking at £349. A nice, simple, easy install. Doesn't add any power, but I think it looks quite good in the engine bay. Next up, some more performance mods. So we went down, after we had the car maybe a year and a half, almost 2 years, we went back to Garage Whifbitz, and we did a GPF delete with a resonator, and that was £354. And then mine was one of the base cars for developing the tune for them. So this was the first time the ECU had been tunable. Before, it had always been done by boxes. So they gave me a call on a Tuesday and said, we've unlocked the ECU, do you want to come down? I was down there on Thursday, and that cost £200, and that was to tune the car, and it's now running 323 brake horsepower at the fly, calculated from the wheels, but really good improvement. Maybe we'll go for some more power sometime. Next up, we're back to some Automotive Passion bits and pieces. So then we went for Automotive Passion fuse cut box cover. So we already had quite a bit of carbon in the engine bay, and it was one of those purchases, didn't need it, but I wanted it because I wasn't feeling great, so I went and purchased it, and that you're looking at £125. Nice, simple, sticks on. To go along with that, wasn't feeling great during that winter time, so I also purchased a DNA Racing front carbon strut bra. That was direct from them, and I was looking at £405.59. And again, that looks fantastic for all the other carbon fibre that are going in the engine bay. Now I have to say, I've got a bargain. Mentioned it in the time in the fitting video. We did some bit different with the boot, but I managed to get a second-hand carbon DNA Racing rear strut bra, and I got that for £165, and that was just because Johnny, who I purchased it from, had a rear end smash, so we didn't know whether it was going to be tweaked or not. Happens to be perfectly okay, so thank you very much for that. To go with that, we had to cut up some rear carpets, so I didn't want to cut up the original ones, so I purchased some from another GR Yaris, and I paid £75 for that. So that's for all the rear end modification there. Next up, we had String Theory wheel spacers. So String Theory makes some fantastic wheel spacers that are really good quality, especially for the OEM wheels. That just space out the OEM wheels, just to give them that really nice aggressive stance, and they were £285, and yeah, really good product again. They stayed on for a few months, and then we actually went to a new set of wheels. So we went to Tegiwa MR152 wheels and Nankang NS2Rs. So the Michelin Pilot 4Ss that come on the stock wheels were getting to the end of their life, so I thought, man mass, if I'm changing the tyres, I might as well change the wheels as well. But we did anyway. Now, Tegiwa helped us out on that. Was looking at £691 for the wheels and £594 for the tyres. And then I went and fitted them, and hey presto, we have the car outside. To go with that, we couldn't use the original wheel nuts, so then I got some new wheel nuts, and they were £40, nice cheap easy one. Then you would have seen this winter we went to a white wheel setup, so I managed to find some second-hand wheels on Facebook Marketplace that came with some alright tyres, white rotors, and I paid £500 for the wheels and tyres second-hand, and they were, just because Nankang NS2Rs are a great tyre, but probably not a great tyre in the wet and cold. Next up, coming into 2024, we did a Tegiwa mirrorizer. So we raised up the mirror. We did a video of that recently, and that cost me £53.49, thanks to the guys and girls over at Tegiwa. And again, the SW Motorsport mount, which was next. Again, another shout out to Tegiwa. They really helping us and supporting the channel, and can't thank them enough, because without them, this is just not possible. It's not feasible. But the SW Motorsport mount cost me £282.22. and that's fitted, and that's done a great job of raising that mirror and then lowering the driving position, so I've got a really good driving position right now. And the final modification that you haven't seen yet, because I've alluded to it early in the video, is I went a bit crazy and I thought, as I'm servicing the car, is there any upgrades that I can do? And I purchased a titanium sump plug. I don't know why I did, whatever. That cost me £31.88, and that is something that's probably nobody's ever going to see, but it's there. So in total, that is a list of all the mods that I have done to my GR Yaris over the last 3 years, and it comes to a total of £6,250.88. So over the last 21,666 miles, I've spent £6,250 on modifications, which is quite a lot of money. And I just hope my other half isn't watching this video, because I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. Well, shows you how much of a dangerous and expensive game car modification is, so don't get into it, kids. There's a lot cheaper other habits out there. So the fourth and final category is fuel. So as I said, as you've seen in the intro, I've kept every single fuel receipt. So every time I've gone to the petrol station, I've asked for a receipt and got a receipt. I filled up every single time in a Shell garage, other than twice. Once when I was caught short, I had to fill up £5 at a BP to get me to a Shell. And once I filled up at a Total petrol station when we was in France, when we went for Le Mans. Other than that, every single time it's been Shell V-Power in this car. What I broke it down to, off each receipt I took how many litres I put in and how much that cost me. So 21,666 miles has cost us 3,267.74 litres of petrol. So I've got no idea whether that's a lot or not a lot, but yeah, over 3,000 litres of fuel going into this car. And that has cost me, drum roll please, a total of £5,095.15 over 3 years. 3 years in just fuel alone. So this is going to be a bit boring for some people, but fuel economy. On a heavy traffic day on my commute to work, I'm probably looking at about 27 to 29 mpg. When we went to Le Mans, a lot of motorway driving, I managed to get it up to 33. Whoop, whoop. On track, when I've been on track, it's been as low as 4 mpg. I remember getting on track and it hit 4 over the trip over track was 4 mpg. By the time we've done a cool down lap and come back to the pits, we managed to get it up to 10 mpg. So this thing is 30 if you push it, and if you're not pushing it, like 33 mpg, to me, I think that's amazing. But I know some people out there are like, yeah, that's really bad. I know people at work are getting over 70 mpg. No, I'm not getting over 30 mpg on my way into work. No, it's not happening. So with that, it comes to our grand total. So we've taken in the cost of ownership, so purchasing car up until now, so right how it sits on my drive right now, the 3 years, so I haven't paid it off the whole car. We've got the cost of the upkeep, so maintenance, things like that, the cost of the modifications, and the cost of the fuel. So right now, over these 3 years, that sitting outside there has cost me £32,442.47, which is not far off the RRP of the car, and I haven't finished paying it off yet. Which I don't know whether that's good or bad. If anybody's done similar, put a comment down below and let me know how it compares. I'm not even sure how this compares to the Mitsubishi Evo that we did. In fact, let's find out. So I'm just watching the video back from the Evo 9, and we actually did 22,000 miles in the Evo 9. So pretty much exactly the same as what we did in the Yaris. So this is going to be an interesting comparison. Okay, so I found the cost of the Evo 9 on fuel over about the same 22,000 miles. We're looking at £4,709.17. So the Yaris has used more fuel for the same amount of 22,000 miles, which seems nuts. I think that's more due to the fuel prices higher now than it was before. I didn't save the litres for the Evo, unfortunately. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different, and I totally understand if it's of no interest to you at all, but I appreciate you hanging around. But yeah, this has been an interesting ride and journey. Really enjoyed owning this car. It's literally been the best car I've owned ever, period, for the whole package, and I can't wait to continue on it. We have, as I told you, we're going to be doing a servicing video, and there is another video coming soon with some other bits and pieces on the car. In fact, I've got 2 videos lined up, so there's a few more things to come. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy me being this transparent with you. I know some people don't want to talk about money, and it's not me gloating that I have this money, because I work hard, I play hard, I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I don't go to the pub. This is my hobby. That's where my money goes, and as I say, it's not to gloat. I just think when you work, you've got to work towards something that makes you happy, and this is what makes me happy. If I didn't have this to work towards, I'd find work life a lot harder and a lot more depressing. So that's just my mindset. So if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, continue this journey with me, a subscribe is always muchly appreciated. But until then, goodbye and have a good one.